So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tiscon eDiscovery series. And today we have somebody who is extremely an expert in the field of BIM. And this has been a topic which has been requested by many of y'all. So we are very happy to introduce Amir Iqbal today. He is an acclaimed architect, and not only that, he is an authority as far as it comes to building information modeling. He has successfully integrated BIM in many architectural firms, not only in India, but also in many other countries abroad. And today he'll be happy to share his expertise as he has done, for other workshops and, at many keynotes as well. But we are very happy to have him today, and welcome, and over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Thanks for the introduction and inviting me for the webinar here. My name is Amir Iqbal, I'm an architect, as she already introduced me. I've been working for this architecture and BIM industry for last 8 years now. And my core area of BIM implementation is mostly architectural as well as a structural design. So today, the presentation that I'm going to give you, it's not going to be mostly like a technical sort of presentation where generally people speak about the technicalities of the BIM and stuff, but rather I would like to have this presentation more towards the idea of what exactly BIM is and how it is doing, what is the current state of BIM, and why it is not very very much popular and implemented, especially in the case of India, and what is the future of it, how it is connects to other tech domains, very trending topics like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics, Internet of Things, IoT, all of this stuff. So in the short time that we have, we'll try to touch upon these. So coming to the agenda of our webinar today. So I'll start with the introduction to BIM, then we'll talk about current state of BIM, and then how it benefits in architectural design process, and in general, the building construction AEC industry. What is BIM in the design process? We have two things. One is how it helps in conceptual design, and how it helps in design documentation and maintenance. What is AI-powered BIM, and what is the role of what can be the role of AI-powered AI in the BIM industry in the coming future? One case study. We'll talk about that. What are the emerging trends in BIM? What if it has what is the relationship between sustainability and BIM, and what are the challenges that we have, and how we are looking at the future outlook of the BIM. So starting from the basics, essentially BIM is it's not new nowadays, but still in my experience, I'll share some of my experience as well while implementing the BIM. It's that most of the people still are very reluctant in using or implementing the BIM. Few of the reasons can be, one of the reasons is that the BIM is generally projected as very very technical, very futuristic, and very tech oriented straight. That is one thing. Second thing, there are a lot of confusion around the BIM process. That some people think it's a software, it's a Revit thing, or it's ArchiCAD, can be used AutoCAD within the BIM, or what it is. But there's a lot of confusion still exists. Then third can be is that is the problem with the infrastructure. Yeah, a lot of time the office doesn't have infrastructure that can run the heavy tools that it has. That is also sort of myth, because that can be worked around. Once you understand what is exactly BIM and how you can leverage the process of BIM through your existing infrastructure, that can also be handled, and we can significantly enhance our documentation process. So essentially BIM is a construction, in very simple language, it's a construction site, how we build our building, it's the virtual replica. We call it virtual digital twin also. So we are virtually essentially creating the same exact thing in the computer before going onto the site for number of reasons that we will be discussing in following slides. Earlier, it was essentially what you were doing with the pen and pencil. You were just transferring that to the computers. One of the major difference here is to be able to use the BIM process efficiently, you must know the building process, how the building is built, and all of those things in the real world, rather than just knowing the commands and all of those things that earlier happening. That in AutoCAD you don't have to have all the knowledge, you just have to have know the commands and stuff, and you can just uh, create the drawing and all those things. So now coming back to the challenges generally that happens is because we are talking about mindset shift here. What I mean by mindset shift is that earlier we were just essentially just using the tools to, for example, if we have to create a circle, we have an option that we can create circle, we can make copy of it easily, we can reduce the size, change the measurements and stuff. Now the shift is you are talking about the whole construction site, the whole building with construction site and time and all other building components that is there, be it your climatic considerations, its geometry, its material property, everything is out there inside your model. So now one of the shift is there that you have to think in a dynamic, very collaborative manner, because when it comes to building construction, it's not just architecture, you are coordinating with other consultants, and that too in the real time, not like AutoCAD generally in the traditional way that you created the drawing and you share it with the other consultant and they are working on it. There's comebacks and back and forth. A lot of wasted time was there. Now the thing is, the concept, for example, the concept of cloud, BIM in cloud. It is basically the model is in the central place, stored in cloud, and everybody is essentially working in real time. So first thing is that we need to do is change the mindset from how we call it, from the beautiful drawing and all this sort of stuff, more into functional building of model in virtual world. Now coming to, after making that differentiation, now coming to what exactly is BIM. So generally, I would like to try to make it very clear, very simple to understand. See, it's very intuitive. BIM is nothing to be worried about, that it's very complex and very, very overwhelming thing. You need to have a lot of knowledge of technology and stuff. No, to start with, you don't need that. It's very simple. It's building information modeling. What is information? Earlier, we were not storing a lot of information. The only information that was there were the measurements in 2D. Now, the thing that is changing here is that we are modeling all the information associated with building based on our BIM goal, basically what we want output from that particular model. So it is not 3D model, of course. Earlier thing was we were doing things in CAD, then we did thing in SketchUp or 3ds Max or other 3D softwares, and those were not connected in any case. So independent models working. Now what is happening that we are just modeling all the information from our side, like feeding the information about geometry, the spatial relationship, the attributes about be it the material property, the climatic consideration, all of those things, the quantity, timeline, the cost, phasing, and a lot more of information. Now, why it becomes at times overwhelming, because there are a lot of information going in. The thing that we need to understand that all of this information is mostly going to be processed by the computers and the algorithms that work behind the scene. So we don't have to, as an architect, especially even as an engineer, we don't have to worry much about that. I see a lot of reluctance in the architecture industry, especially about using the thing, the BIM thing. So this is a very simple thing. We are just modeling the information to get the desired output. I'll not go into the technical standard definition. You can find that online. That is a very standard one, that is a digital process that involves creating 3D model, and it's so comprehensive that you can use it for various purposes. Now continuing to that, one of the confusion that is there is people do generally, a lot of people, they feel that BIM is a software. In India context, it's mostly people think it's Revit, or maybe in Europe it's ArchiCAD. So the reality is BIM is not a software. It's just a new age process of documenting a building from the conceptual state to the maintenance in the post-construction stage. So BIM is definitely not Revit or ArchiCAD or any other software. BIM is not even nowadays, like I said, people think it's rocket science. How can we do it? How much time it will take? It takes no time to learn BIM. You can start learning and start working on it, and in the process you will learn it. It's that simple. It's for me, if you ask me, it's even simpler than AutoCAD and all of the softwares. So essentially, BIM is a process. And what is that process? It's a very dynamic process that changes with your projects. Different process can be there. It can also use a lot of different tools. For example, a model can use the Revit as one-stop tool, and that can work for a small model. Maybe there's a project that requires you to use AutoCAD and Excel, so there can be a combination of Revit, AutoCAD, and Excel, and there can be a combination of other software as well. There can be a combination of Revit, AutoCAD, or maybe some AI software that is nowadays there. BIM 360. There are a lot of software that enables you to integrate, for example, AI capabilities in Revit. You have Trimble Connect, that is also AI enabled. All of this AI thing is anyway in beta state right now, but you can try it and see the future, what's coming. Now, coming to the process, it's very simple. The way you do in the real world, when you design a building and construct, you make a execution plan for it. Similarly, you have in a BIM process, you have BIM execution plan. You list out all the requirements, all the stakeholders, ownerships, and all of those things. There's a planning part. You do start with the planning thing. Once that is done, you come to the design and conceptualization of it. You do conceptualization, you can start from maybe sketching your thing, putting it into the computer, and then you start building up on that. You can skip the sketching part. You can have 3D sketch in softwares like Format, and a lot of, even in SketchUp you can do that, and then you can transfer it to, for next step you can use software like Autodesk Revit. You can use ArchiCAD, or a lot of software that can be used for the design thing. Once the design thing is there, you can you go and change it to the building, the level of details you add. So a lot of you must have heard the level of detail, that is LOD 100, 200, 300, and so on and so forth. You do that, you in the build phase, and then once that is built, the virtual model is built. You then extract drawings from it. You extract quantification. You do the phasing. You do a lot of other stuff that you will learn in a dedicated webinar for this thing. And then you can also use the same model for operating the building post construction. So that is very simple thing, very simple process, nothing to worry about there. Generally, it is put in a way that it looks overwhelming, but that's not the case. It may be because of the models looks very complex, or I don't know, but I have seen that people are very reluctant about, very scared to even click on a lot of things. What is the current state of BIM? In Western countries and the US and even Japan, it's very much used. It's almost popular there. But unfortunately, the data is a couple of years old. But still, in India, the embracement, embracing the BIM is still very new. Most of the people are not, even if they are using it, they are not using it as a BIM, but just a 3D software. I see a lot of firms are using Revit just to develop 3D, and then they go and AutoCAD, and they are very unconnected approach to the whole BIM scene in India. So we will try to understand in the coming slide why that is happening. Few of the reasons I have already discussed with you. What is the benefit? And the thing is, why do we use this new process? Do we have any benefit about it that can be that has edge over traditional method. Yes, it has a lot of benefit. You can't even imagine a few of the project that is happening across the globe without BIM. If that happens, it will take years to just produce the drawing and all of the stuff. Some of them are not even possible without BIM. Secondly, the time it saves is quite significant. Also, the minimization of error that is there, that is the technical part of it. Even in the conceptualization stage, you have a lot of flexibility to very rapidly conceptualize your thing, iterate your design, discuss with the other structural consultant beforehand, rather than having just designed your building and fighting with the structural consultant that uh, it's sometimes it's quite late once you have thought about design. Now when you're using BIM process in your architectural design thinking, essentially you can just start working simultaneously and keep the other consultants in loop so that they understand where you're going, where you need to discuss beforehand. That saves a lot of time and complexity that may happen in the future. It gives you opportunity to enhance the visualization from the conceptual stage itself. The model on the left you see that is the format model, or any other, maybe a SketchUp model can be there. And that model, once you are done with the massing thing, you can just directly convert it to the facade and the building thing, and you can keep adding on same model, and you get the final result from that. That can be one of the workflow that is there. You can assess the scenarios very quickly because it's three-dimensional. It has all the information about you can even have the temperature, the lighting, and all of the analysis there. You can check the feasibility as well. One of the most popular USPs of the BIM process is, for example, the companies like Autodesk, that both it's a very communicative, it's a very collaborative approach, and that's also communication mitigates a lot of errors and a lot of complexity that can come later on the design process that can be mitigated immediately in initial time as well. You can have very streamlined concept to model approach, like I told you, that from the massing to from your sketch to massing to the final model is very smooth and very systematic way to go to the final model translation. That was about the conceptual stage of benefits of BIM and design thinking, architectural design thinking. Coming to the data, it says that the data is from some research. It says the 5% reduction final cost of construction, 5% increase in construction speed, 25%. But I feel that it can be much more, especially in the say section of productivity. It can be much more, and the possibility of creative thinking and how technology can aid you into thinking through lots of different options that you could not have done while you were doing this manually over the traditional approach of AutoCAD and just sketching. You have ample of time because of speed and because of it's happening in 3D, and it's giving you a feasibility test as well in the real time. It can do wonders. 25% is just data, but I feel it can be much more than that. It also adds to your creativity if you use it in a creative manner and not just driven by the technology. One of the challenges I see with the architects, sometimes they are restricted with the software because maybe they don't really know how to use it and stuff. But as an architect, for especially for architects, we need to understand that we need to use these tools as aid to our creative process, not the other way around. That is one of the challenges and one of the problems that I see in the industry happening. Now, coming to how it helps in the design process. That was about the conceptual design process. The design process here means how it helps into the optimizing the repetitive tasks. You have data management of data. That is problematic thing. You have collaboration problems. It helps in that. It helps in a very important thing, that is clash detection, and it helps you into making changes into the very quickly, very real-time collaborative approach into changing the updates and all of those things. There are a lot of tools for that. I don't think I have much time to talk about one by one, but these are few things that it cannot be done without any BI tool, or if you say the process that is there. Nowadays, because of the integration of AI to it, these things are even more efficient, and in coming years will generate those repetitive tasks, those based on your parameters and learning that the computer has. It can do this thing in no time if you have correct process in place, correct systems in place. Coming to, as I was talking about AI powered, this is going to be the thing in BIM. Whatever I was talking to this slide, those things are essentially of past. In Indian context, it is still quite new, and the adoption is less, so a lot of people don't know about it. But those things are already implemented across the in a lot of countries. Now the new thing is you use the power of AI, artificial intelligence, to build your building from your designing to building your thing, implementing on site. So, for example, the data says that it is valued 312 billion. It's a big market out there, and by 2024 it will be 3.1 billion-dollar industry. So that's a huge jump by the next year itself. In the artificial intelligence part, it's a primary can be generative design. So you can have before I tell all of these in generative design, predictive analysis, and automated documentation, I would just try to give you an idea in a very simple term how AI works and how it can affect the construction industry. So if you know about these machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, in essentially it is not very difficult to understand. I'll try to just explain to you in a very simple way. It works like human brain itself. So for example, as a human, we have a lot of information. We have learning, say as an architect or as an engineer, we have a lot of information, we have learning, and we process those data to come up with the design, documentation, or construction management, all of those things. That is, we have data, we have experience, and we process those data in our brain, and then we give output. Okay, and whoever is better IQ can come up with a better thing. Whoever is very creative IQ can come up with a creative solutions. Now, same thing what we do inside the computer, because computer is very fast. So machine learning is nothing but just, as name suggests, it's you train the machine with a lot of information. For example, if you see here, this neural network image recognition, this is a cat. You give computer a lot of different images of cat, and it processes all of them. The more the data it will give you accurate result. So once it has a lot of data, it can start recognizing the cat. Similarly, if you see on the right of it, how it is implemented in construction industry is you feed a lot of data about, for example, here is the excavator. You feed a lot of data about excavator, and you feed everything, the process it does, the animation of it and videos of it, as much data you can feed. What it will do then, it will process the data in a light speed. No human brain can do that, and it can help you with, for example, real-time monitoring of the site. Similar thing happens with the, for example, you have to do residential planning or any sort of planning. You feed in the lot of plans to it, lot of possibility to it. You feed in the constraint that has. You feed in the constraint of wall. You feed in the information about the openings, the maximum, the minimum, all of those things. And based on that, it can give you, in no time, it can give you a lot of options. So one of the questions arises here that if that is happening so quickly and stuff, so what is the need of architects, the professional there? So see, these things are only aiding you, helping you with the process. Anyway, the role of creative people, architects, will not go away anywhere. It's just that it speeds up your process of thinking, and it gives you it enlarges your scope, how you think through the design, and it increases the possibility of design. For example, we will have one case study later on that will make it clear that some of the projects that you see in the world cannot be even without BIM, and in the coming years you cannot even think about without using the AI. You can do those projects in the record time that it is been implemented. Here are the few tools. There are a lot of tools because this is a new thing. The beta time is going for the AI in construction and architecture. So there are a lot of tools. I've listed some of them here. For the conceptual designs, you can have Midjourney, it's an independent thing. You have Veras and Arco that the Veras can be integrated into Revit, and you can have different visualization of your model. From there, you can get an idea of how you can work around it. You have Plan Finder, architectures. These are for planning and looking into iteration based on your feed. These are for the collaboration and management of this thing, this Trimble, Connect, BIM 360, and all of these softwares. There are a lot of out there. This is the time to explore all of these things. Once these are more stable, then it will be norm in coming days. It's good to try out these things with the AI capabilities. This building that you see on the right is the Museum of the Future. You see the shape of this building. That is one challenging thing to even think of this kind of design. In earlier times, we have buildings like Lotus Temple, Opera House, and all of those very very geometric buildings that is very difficult to construct. But earlier it took years to think about it, and there are few architects who could dare to think about those kind of a structure. But nowadays you have all this possibility, even when you are not that courageous or you are not that good at it, of freeform and stuff. So for example, you see this building, it has, if you see the structure of it, it is very complex. And if you see the Arabic calligraphy that is here, it is embossed in the panel. It's not painted. It is, each panel has one chunk of that calligraphy. To just imagine doing that without paint, it's nearly impossible to. If even if you dare to do that, it will take several years to just produce the pre-drawings and those things. Apart from that, in this building, what is happening, if you see this calligraphy, these are windows as well. So even if you do this thing, if you do the calligraphy and stuff, you paint or whatever you do, you can't make the windows out of it if you don't have these tools, AI powered tools that is been used in this building to create the drawings and then the fabrication of it. Few models that were created for the project. According to the architects himself, it was impossible to to design the MEP and installation that is there in certain areas. According to the architect and the team of the this building, they said that it was nearly impossible for few areas. So if you see that the number of panels, each panel is more than 1,000 panels are there, and each panel is different from other. Each has, none of those panels are flat. It has a curvature, and it has to be placed in different angle. So it is nearly impossible. Also, that has to be used as a window to the building itself. So it's nearly impossible that we don't use BIM nowadays, even for a simple building. In a simple building case, it increases the efficiency to to very, and it also minimizes the error. It also reduce the manpower required. You don't need a lot of draftsmen and stuff. You can have a small team and you can design a huge building by yourself. Now talking about the emerging trends there. So one is that you earlier, the challenge was that you don't have infrastructure. You have a lot of excuses and reluctancies in adopting BIM, that you don't have a big infrastructure, you don't have the computers that can run these big softwares and all of those things. But to solve that, there's the concept of cloud-based BIM. So you don't have to have your very very high configuration computer system that can run the model, but you can always have subscription on cloud on the monthly basis or pay as you go, and you can store your model there, and from your computer you can operate it over high-speed internet. Second thing that is also being promoted is augmented reality. It's basically it's a virtually looking through a VR glass, virtual reality glass, how the place is going to be looking like. You can walk into it, you can feel it. So that's the thing that is that it's also been there for quite time now. The new thing is AI powered design optimization. So this is the newest thing that will be the future of AI. Now, if you see on the top right, the model, it explains how the cloud based BIM works. So for example, you have this building that is placed somewhere on the server, and every stakeholder can access the model through Revit collaboration or any other software. And people who are from, for example, these are design teams, so the structural engineer, BIM manager, architect, mechanic, they can use the one Revit software to access all the information in real time from the model on the cloud. And the other team, that is your cost estimator, building owner, specialist, and all the builders, all of those consultants can access it through without having the software. They can access it through BIM 360 on cloud. They can view the thing, they can make comment, they can have design reviews on the cloud itself. So that way it becomes real time. Also, it cuts down on the having the infrastructure to adopt BIM. What it has for sustainability, because it's no rocket science to understand that it's automatically becomes sustainable, even if we don't would dive deeper into it. That once you have this integrated model, essentially it's a digital twin. So it's a once you are basically able to build the building inside the computer, you can have control over a lot of things. You can have energy simulation, for example, uh, to minimize a lot of energy usage. So it's very simple. The diagram on the infographic on the right side kind of demonstrated how everything is interconnected. That can help you in the better decision making and overall environmental impact, energy efficiency, and in a sense, the sustainability part of it. What are the challenges? Like I mentioned earlier, for example, if you're saying that it is so easy and it is so efficient, and you don't even nowadays need a lot of very expensive infrastructure for that, and why people are not using it? Essentially, in my experience, it's resistance to change. Like also the way it is advertised, especially for the architectural people, that it becomes overwhelming for them to accept it. Also, it has a quite different way of representing things. It has quite different way of dealing with the details and all those things. One is the number one cause I feel is resistance to change. Understanding the concepts and trying it out. Second, initial implementation con. Like I said, it is not the case essentially now, but still, because the cloud-based systems are also, the subscriptions are also in Indian context, it is quite high nowadays. So that can be secondary, challenge to adopt the BIM. Third is learning curve. I don't really believe the learning curve is the problem. Once you are done with the resistance to change. Once you have the mindset that you want to adopt it and you understand the process of it, the learning curve is not. These software are very intuitive, very easy to understand. You don't even need to have for the initial adoption, you don't really need to have technology at all. It's very intuitive, very easy to use. The only thing that you need to know is how the building design and construction process works on site and on the conceptual stage and design process stage. If you know that, the learning curve is not a problem, but it is generally seen as a challenge. But to me, I don't feel once you have that right mindset, you have that problem. What is the future outlook of the BIM? So future, you can't deny this thing now that it is being used all over, it's super efficient. So you must embrace it and look into the future of it. So one is, like I already mentioned, the digital twin approach. It's basically you are making a twin of the actual building on your computer and trying to run it, see it, how it's going to perform now, how it's going to be performing in the next 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. All of those things you can do. So essentially, you can just build the building inside your computer and then decide on how it's going to be constructed and how it's going to be performing. And you can even monitor that, the prediction that you have, you can monitor that. Cloud-based BIM, like I said, that is connectivity of all the data sources that is there at one place. Augmented reality, we discussed the integration of AI and machine learning. This will take some time because of the learning curve it has. Machine learning, more data it has, it will be become better. The last thing is mobile BIM. So nowadays, most of us use mobile phone for a lot of our things. So it is going to be on the mobile. So if you're on the site and stuff, they're quite new thing, mobile BIM, but there are few softwares already existing that works on your iPad and mobile to monitor a lot of things. That will be the future of it, because essentially if we see the tech landscape, people are less using computers and laptops and more onto the small screens, tablets, and mobile. So that will be one of the things that we need to. So that was it from me. If you have any question, you can ask. If you're in doubt and stuff, so I'll be happy to take that up.
Yes, that was a really illuminating take on the subject. Few questions have come in from the audience, so I will just read them out. So, Mr. Mohammed is asking that in.
Yeah, Amir. Yeah, so one question for Mohammed Siddiqui is, in the beginning, you
Yeah.
defined BIM as the relationship between site and drawing or design. Can you please throw some light on how the site data is updated on the model? How is the site data updated on the model?
Okay, for that you have tools like BIM 360. Over there, you can, for example, if you see this diagram, so if you see here in this diagram, this is your cloud model. From one side, you have these structural engineers, BIM manager, architects, and these consultants who are directly involved in design. And here you have, on the other side, people who are using BIM 360 platform. They can access the model and feed in design feedback, site data, all of these data in here in the if you're talking in terms of the design process stage. So here, while you are producing a drawing or from site you want to put in data, you can just put it here in the BIM 360 platform that is by Autodesk.
Hello. Yeah, Amir. Bernard Louis Nathan from USA is asking, adding value to components seem to be the core function of BIM. How can we integrate different BIM softwares into one standard IFC files as example? Adding value to components seem to be the core function of BIM. How can we integrate different BIM softwares into one standard IFC files as example? How can we integrate different BIM software into one standard file?
I think the question needs to be rephrased, but what I understand is, for example, people who are not using essentially the software that is used for example, the Revit and ArchiCAD and those kind of software, how they are going to access the information. Like for me, it's not very clear. The question is very not clear.
Okay, now Mr. P. Vijay Kumar Reddy is asking, can we use this for hydropower projects like dams and tunnels?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
that's even more required.
Yeah, Mr. Rohit Kumar Rai is asking, sir, any suggestion for AI-based initial state software for, no, Mr. Johnny K. Sam is asking, can you please share the cost of implementation per square feet? What
that will be difficult for in this context, which is not a very technical.
Okay, now Mr. Ray S is asking how a civil engineer who is familiar
depends on a
with,
lot of factors.
All right, Ray S is asking how a civil engineer who is familiar with CAD designing
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Ray S is asking how a civil engineer who is familiar with CAD designing start in a stronger way in BIM and make a career with BIM.
See, like I mentioned, the first thing you have to do is not do the technical thing, but it's more of the mindset. You have to stop thinking in the 2D manner and you start thinking first to understand and learn the new BIM process first, and then you go on to the using software. The first thing is that you have to break that barrier, stop thinking in 2D, stop thinking in that manner. You come and you first learn the BIM process itself, and then it will be easier for you to switch to the new process of BIM, working with the software like Revit and the STAD and whatever software that is Tekla BIM is there for the structure. So first you need to understand the whole process, then it will be easier for you.
Yeah. Mr. Kedar is asking which BIM softwares are more popular in the industry.
In our context, in this side of the world, it's mostly Revit. That is the core of BIM modeling here, and the additional software can be, supporting it.
Mr. Ayub Maktoum is asking, isn't BIM going to throw architects and engineers out of the market since it can do all the tasks?
Of course not. Of course not. It cannot do the human thing. So it will aid the architects and engineers more than throwing them away. So if you are, because also it is an advantage for architects and engineers to think through various new, giving more time to design thinking and problem solving rather than working on models and repetitive tasks. So it's a helpful thing for in the future also. It will be very quite helpful and efficient for architects and engineers rather than throwing them away, unless you are just using it to design as well. You don't use tools to design. You use your brain and intellectual and creative skill that you have to design. So it is definitely not going to throw architects and engineers out of the business anymore.
Yeah. Mr. Bhaskar Gopalan is asking, can this be used for student projects at graduate and postgraduate level in civil engineering? If yes, then how?
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course it can be used, but I'm not sure about much about civil engineering thing. But for architecture, it is there. So I am sure in the civil engineering department also it can be easily used. In architecture, I have used, for example, the BIM thing from second year itself.
Okay.
There's a follow-up question to that, which says that what are a few good softwares that a student should learn to upskill himself or herself?
To start with, Revit is the best software right now. To start with the thing, you learn that one software, it will give you most of the BIM process that you want. And apart from that, if you want to explore new things, you can try out the cloud-based BIM 360. You can try out, if you want to make it quite interesting, you can start using the beta versions of AI software that is there. So, for example, some of them I've listed here. Like, for example, you have this mid journey is not essentially a BIM thing, it's a more AI thing. So you can just use, for example, Plan Finder. It's a plugin for, it's an easier one. Architecture, it can be the little Plan Finder. You can use it to generate, plans for residential projects, small projects based on your input. You can use Make It for that. You can even use Plan Grid if you want for the rendering and stuff. And to have a design different facade options, you can use Veras, and there are a lot of more there. It's very easy to find it online, these kind of software. But to start with, Revit is the best thing to do. You understand, you start with Revit.
Okay, so the next question says that is doing a master's in BIM, can it help switching the mindset from 2D to 3D? And if the answer is yes, then is there any particular suggestions you have for doing your master's in BIM?
See, there are two streams now after the introduction of this new thing. One is you can be a BIM architect and you can be into the execution and modeling of BIM and implementation of it. That is one thing. You can opt for that also. That has a technical side more than the design thinking side. The other can be if you want to be an architect who designs building and essentially who works on the front of architectural design thinking, then it is not essential to have masters in that. If you want to go on the other route, there's a lot of huge scope into this BIM also. Like I said in the presentation as well, that it is not AutoCAD where anybody can do the BIM thing and become the BIM expert. It is essential to do it once if you know the building construction process, then only you can learn and actually excel in the field of BIM. So if you want to go the technical route, then it is advisable for you to go for BIM masters. Otherwise, there are, in my opinion, you don't have to do that long. You can have certifications, you can have learning through you, and that should help you in building design process, architectural design process.
So as a follow-up question to that, Mr.
Yes.
Pranil is asking that is there any agency or organization which is working towards proper training of these tools?
There are a lot of agencies. We also do that, but we are limited to architects itself because we feel that architects have different sort of problem that is there. But there are a lot of agencies. I recommend anyone to, but there are a lot of agencies certified by, preferably certified by, you should opt for preferably certified by Autodesk, and that should be fine. But
I'm going to sort of club the next two questions. Somebody has asked that, is BIM only useful for a certain typology like residential? Or someone else has asked that, is it only applicable in case of steel structures? Meaning, is it limited as per the material of construction of the building? So, would you like to address either of those?
Yeah, so you see, in the coming time, it is going to be the stand. So, like earlier it was AutoCAD saying these things will go away anyway. So, for any type of building, it's essentially a process. With the process, if you ask about the software, can Revit do this and that? That can be a different question. But coming to the BIM process, it can be implemented and it will be implemented in coming years on any kind of project here that you can think of.
And the other question from Dr. Mayank is saying that, can all building services be integrated into BIM similar to how it is done in GIS software?
Yes, that can be done.
Okay. And the next question asks about whether coding knowledge is needed to work in BIM, like Python or Java.
No, that's not essential. If you want to go into that advanced level, then it is, of course, but it's not required. No coding knowledge is required to start with BIM. To a certain level, you can do that without having iota of coding knowledge, nothing at all. It's so intuitive. They have built the software so user friendly. It's very easy to use. You don't need any of those things unless you want to go into that expertise.
Okay. Also, Mr. Maktoum is asking regarding the purchasing of the BIM. So they are saying that, is it like purchasing? Is it to be purchased by individuals or by firms, or what is the best way to go about it?
See, BIM cannot purchase that's one of the confusion that is there. BIM is a process. You don't purchase process. If you are talking about the software, different software has different subscription, perpetual license, and all those things. But BIM cannot be bought. It had to be learned.
So I'm going to kind of also deviate a little bit. So Mr. Tripathi has actually made a comment that this needs a complete digital transformation. And going back to what you were mentioning earlier, what do you see are the roadblocks in terms of implementing this in India? As you said that the current kind of rate of implementation is quite low as compared to other countries. So what do you think are the roadblocks, and what do you believe is a way to kind of tackle these?
One of the biggest roadblock, like I mentioned, it's nothing to do with the software and all. It's first thing is the mindset shift. We have, I feel, in my experience, we have obsession with doing these beautiful drawings and working on the details in different way. Now we have to do away with that, and we need to understand what is required on the site and how these software are addressing that. We need to align our mindset with that. That is first thing. Second thing, we need a lot of awareness. Make it easy because it's very overwhelming. You open a BIM website, any software website, most of them will give you so much. That's why we have questions like, do we need coding knowledge and all of those stuff. We need to simplify that and make them understand that this is nothing to worry about. So first thing is mindset, that is there. The second thing is awareness of the tool. That is not very different from earlier tool. It's just that it's a new process. It's a dynamic process. So you need to. So we have been doing, as an architect and AEC professionals, we have been doing this on site. We just have to switch the mindset that that can be done into the computer itself, and that is not and because this software is so intuitive, so well designed that you don't even have to have the technical knowledge to work on this software. So that is the biggest challenge I see. Apart from the infrastructure, I think that can be sorted out, not a problem, big problem, but the biggest problem I feel is the mindset and the knowledge about the whole process.
Is there any kind of examples in India in terms of projects which have used this actively?
Very few projects I can remember. We have worked on project not in India, but in India, in general I can say that it is very partially used. So people try to implement them and they end up doing partially on the. For example, they use Revit software and they do partially, then they stuck and they would switch. So most of the project that you see in India are partially done on BIM. I don't know of any. I can't remember right now any project that is fully BIM enabled in India. So we have not worked here. We have worked in the Middle East and stuff. So there are a lot of projects that has been on the fully under BIM. But with the other challenge, adding to the last question, is that you don't, even if architects, for example, start working on BIM, you don't find a lot of consultant who would be aligning with the usage of BIM process. That is one of the challenges there, and one of the reasons why we don't have projects happening totally on BIM in India.
So at least going by the audience questions which we are having, in the chat right now, a lot of people are actually, continuously inquiring that how do they start, or how do they kind of, where do they go when they want to learn. So I think that, that also reiterates your point that maybe the right now the adoption or the awareness about it is quite maybe on the lower side. So, is there any, as a sort of closing, is there anything that you would, like to reiterate in terms of somebody who's completely new to BIM? What is the best way for them to sort of get friendly with it? So, I think with that we will close the session. So, thank you so much, Mr. Amir.